we're not serving the communities that we serve, then, what's the point?
So good. People have to know how much you care before they care how much you know.
Exactly. Right. Because you're not the star of the show.
Oh, man. Perfect.
We're a full circle to end.
Oh, that's so perfect.
You're listening to the HVAC Heroes podcast, a show that shares real stories of growth and success in order to inspire HVAC contractors to achieve optimal success in their own businesses. On this show, we talk with some of the top HVAC companies across the USA to unveil the strategies and decisions they have made to eventually become some of the most successful in the industry. I'm your host, Alex Van Leeuwen, the founder of HVAC Marketers, which is the digital marketing agency for HVAC businesses. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons that they've learned along the way, and how you too can find success in your HVAC business.
So Jen, thanks so much for joining us today on the HVAC Heroes podcast. You are a guest that, like I was telling you before, I've really been excited about getting on and wanted to bring you here because you and what you guys have going on at Boss Services is really weird. Like in the Dave Ramsey sort of weird, like you want to be weird, crazy results, crazy success. And I think that our HVAC owner audience is going to just be, they're just going to be drooling with like hearing your story, hearing the story of Boss and hopefully taking away one or two things that they can go back and implement and see, man, even like a portion of your all success, I think most people would raise their hands for in a heartbeat. So thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, that means so much to hear that from you.
Yeah,
thanks for having me. I love to talk marketing. So yeah, I could talk about all day.
Yeah, we've had so many good conversations in the past, like diving into this, just you and me, and like, man, we could have hit the record on any of those and probably would have been worth listening to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would love to. I listen to a lot of podcasts about home services like Tommy Mello's, and I love hearing him talk to different people about marketing. It's just everybody does something different and you can always borrow from people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's really no, like, I'm a big believer in that. There's no new ideas under the sun, really. So it's like, go find what's working, and you all have a ton of things that are working really well, and run with that. So why don't you, if you don't mind, like, can you give a little bit of background on Boss and kind of when you guys got started, kind of where you're at now. And definitely some background on yourself and kind of what you're doing at Boss.
Cool. Yeah. Boss Services, and actually we started 8 years ago in February, Boss Heating and Air. So we were just HVAC exclusively. Our owner, Jerry Street, started it. He had been in HVAC since he was 16 years old. So I think he had 20 years or more into HVAC at that point. He built up a big customer base in Southwest Michigan where we're based, like where he had people requesting him by name, which is a big deal. So, yeah, so he was like, he has this entrepreneurial spirit. I just love that word, but you guys know what I meant. But he loves. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I just drank a 20-ounce coffee.
Me too. Yeah, I've got 3 coffee cups sitting right next to me.
Buckle up, kids. So he started the business. I mean, he just took it and ran with it. At the time when I had met him, I was working at our local radio stations, and he told me he was going to be the biggest home services business in Michigan and that he wanted to have multiple home services. And, he talked a big talk. So it was exciting to be a part of that. He picked our most aggressive radio plan. And then I knew that, he was backing up that talk as well to, really get out there and let the community know who he was. So it was always exciting to work with them from the start because they weren't afraid to be bold. Our brand, I don't know if you can put it up on the website somewhere, but our logo is very bold. It's Boss Services. So, it has a guy in a hat with a wrench, and all our vans are black. And, a lot of places have red, white, or blue, it seems like, but, we have the black shirts, black hats. Mm-hmm. It's definitely easy to make it stand out with their branding. But yeah, so he, within the first 2 years, he added, I believe, bathroom remodeling. So we do 24-hour bathroom upgrades. He changed the name from Boss Heating and Air to Boss Services. And I'm trying to think what else he added next. was, I believe, and we've had some things that haven't worked out for us. We added windows, and windows just was not a fit for us. And I'm trying to think, we're doing handyman services was our most recent addition.
Very cool.
So we just continuously add different services to our mix, because, HVAC has slower seasons. So we use those other services to kind of supplement those slower seasons.
Well, and we'll talk about too, like this seems to be a topic that comes up a lot on this show, is the value of your list and the value of your customers. And if you are offering only one service to a customer that needs several services, the idea of how to make each and every customer more valuable by being able to not only do HVAC, and we're talking March 8th. So, it's slow for, depending on where you are in the country, there's a lot of shops that are slow right now. And so having those very same customers that, also need sump pumps and would do the upgrades and window upgrades and things like that. And I think what's important to key in on is just like how short of a timeline that you're talking about. So you guys have been in business like 8 years.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. So I think that's the mic drop for most people. And where are you now? Like how many trucks are you running?
Yeah. And I believe we're running 12 trucks. And, that's between kind of the three primary services that we have: handyman services, bathroom remodeling, and then we have HVAC, which our HVAC guys also do water heaters, sump pump, like you were talking about. So we're doing a lot of water heaters and like sump pump battery backups right now in the spring. We're just starting to outbound to our members about, get your AC checkup scheduled because we owe that to you type of thing. So yeah, those memberships, I think that is key in the slow season, right? To get your members booked and scheduled. And I mean, we're experiencing 50-degree weather, 60-degree weather in March. So we can do those right now. So that's kind of nice that it's warming up earlier than normal.
So you were talking about the importance of memberships, and this time of year it's 50, 60 degrees. So you're actually able to go out and do some of that work. And that's where I lost you.
Yes. Yeah, I think, if you can, have your guys, if they're able to talk about memberships well and talk to your clients about the importance of doing those annual checkups, how much money they'll save by keeping their system safe and doing those tune-ups, because we do 2 a year. So with our membership, we get the AC checkup in the spring and the furnace checkup in the fall. So that's awesome. I mean, that's vital, during October, November, to have something for, the guys to do before it starts to get cold and same thing now in the spring. So we really push that, and you'd be surprised how hard it is to get, sometimes people to just schedule those. People get busy, they forget to schedule. So a big part of my job is sending out text, reminding them, hey, we owe you this AC tune-up, sending emails. It takes several touch points because in today's society, we are overwhelmed at all angles from, Facebook, social media. Everyone's busy all the time, I feel like. Yeah. So you may feel like you're bombarding your audience, but we still get people after, touching them several times, whether it's Facebook, texting, emails, that, oh yeah, I didn't hear about that. I forgot to do it. I forgot to schedule my appointment. And we feel like but you're not. And I tell people that all the time when I talk about, pushing different things that you do, because it adds, it takes like 7 times of frequency of the same message for them to understand what you're saying and what you do. So yeah,
I think that's so true. Like it's easy to and we can all fall victim to this. Like we're the star of our own movie, right? So it's like, oh, I sent 3 follow-ups, or I can tell that our frequency is high on our ads. Like people are seeing our messaging. But I think all you have to do, or at least me, like I look into my own consuming behaviors, right? So I think about if I'm, well, even like just recently, we signed, my wife and I, we signed up for, we moved to a new house. We signed up for a maintenance agreement with an HVAC company. And here I am, an HVAC marketer, right? And I've signed up for their plan, and they're following up with me. It's not, you know what I mean? So it's important to step out of, we're not the star of the movie. Our customers have many other things going on. They're being hit by all angles, on the phone, on TV, on everywhere. And so to have confidence in just dialing up that follow-up and not being afraid. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, that I think that is the mistake too many people make. They're like, well, we sent this text out or we sent an email out, and then they're just like, okay, we're done with that. It's like, no, you have to hit them several times in several different mediums for it to resonate. For you're going through that funnel, right? Your awareness, you start with no awareness, then
Right.
they become aware of your name maybe, but they don't know exactly what you do. And then it's that taking them through that level of understanding of what you do, and then finally getting them to pick up the phone. Maybe they heard a testimonial video or, had a friend tell them about you that reminded them to do it. You just don't know what, I guess, touch point is going to make them take that action finally.
Yeah, that's so true. What channel comes to mind for you when you're thinking about that follow up and like where it's like, so I always like to try to get a little tactical. Like if what's a channel that comes to mind where you're able to turn that dial and say, okay, we're gonna do more follow up
With our current client base?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's several ways that we do that. So, I mean, we have kind of the less in your face way of with Facebook ads and Instagram ads with Meta, you can retarget people who are on your client list. So I have our client list uploaded into our warm audience when I run a Facebook ad. And sometimes I'll just do the member list and just say, hey, we owe you an AC checkup, and put that on Facebook right there. So they're seeing it several times with that ad campaign.
That's good.
And
That's a
then,
really good idea.
we'll do a text campaign. Yeah. So I mean, it's not as in their face. We'll do a text campaign too, that goes out. I'm getting ready to send one out next week for that. So I'm not going to do it too much. I feel like I get turned off when somebody is constantly texting me. Like I just don't feel like I should get more than one text a week from a business. And even that sometimes feels like a lot. So I think you need to be cognizant about losing people with a certain amount of frequency too. So yeah. And then we'll send out sometimes if we still haven't, seen, sometimes it's really cold in March when we're advertising in the mindset. I mean, you're just not thinking about the last thing on my mind right now is my AC. Right now it's like 40 degrees. In Michigan. And so sometimes sending out even a direct mailer to just our Total Home Care Club members works for that final touch point. And yeah. So, and then we have people outbound as well. So there's all these different ways, but yeah, it does take kind of like I have reminders when I'm doing each piece to slowly guide them. I have a Asana that I use for my task management, set reminders for myself for when I'm doing these. I have a whole calendar planned out. So I know that we're going to be getting those 7 touches somehow.
Yeah, that's solid. This is why I say you guys are operating on a different plane, I think, than many. And that's why I was so excited to have you on, because you're talking very specifically about, we talk at a high level about follow-up, but you're able to then say, okay, these are the channels that we're doing it, and these are our considerations. I'm a monster fan of text message marketing, and you guys are doing a great job with that, and not overdoing it, and having a specific strategy for that compared to your Facebook ads, compared to maybe direct mail if you're doing that, or and then you think of outbound separately. So boy, oh boy, there's so much I could dive into. I don't want to have us be 3 hours on here, but well, let's, because I always want to keep in mind our listener, that HVAC owner that's maybe they're trying to break 1 million, or maybe they're trying to break 5 million, or what, like everyone's on a different place maybe, but what would be like, so of some of those efforts that you just mentioned, like what's one that you would say is like the no-brainer? Like if you're not doing this, go think about Facebook ads, or think about texting, or maybe we can get into outbound, and that's been effective. But what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to break that, $1 million, I really think getting out into the community is huge when you're just a startup. It's so easy to join a chamber, to go to chamber meetings, join your local, like we have something called St. Joe Today, where they have events in downtown St. Joe and they have meetings about it every month and network with people. It's as easy as hosting an event, at your facility. We have our next event's Adoption Day. That costs me animal control, the Humane Society to come. They're bringing animals. Our local bank, I called up, they're going to cover all the adoption fees. So, I mean, all it costs is for me to advertise it on Facebook, a few $100 because people click interested on that and share it and they get excited. And then before you know it, our name is everywhere. And it has nothing to do with HVAC, but it gets people entering our building and we can give them a brochure. We can talk to them face to face. I think stuff like that is invaluable when you're just starting, just thinking outside the box on how you can kind of get in there and just talk face to face with people and make an impression.
Yeah, that's good because you really understand the idea of being able to pull yourself away from that HVAC lens. Like going back to the metaphor of being the star of our own movies, right? Like it's so easy, no matter what you're doing in any home service or any industry, really. Say you're a lawyer, you're just like, you see everyone through the lens of, do wills and, wills, estates, divorce, whatever your lens is. It's so easy to only think about that. But here you are talking about community events, and I know, and I want to give you time to dive more into that because I know you guys are really effective. And from an outsider, I think one of the reasons that you are so effective is because everything you just described there, that adoption event, like in a big way, has nothing to do with what you're selling. And like you said, so community, you think that would be kind of like the foundation of, especially, cracking that first million or first couple of million. You think you see that as a big opportunity?
Oh, I definitely do. Yeah, especially if you're in a smaller rural area like we are. I mean, we have a lot of small communities, so there's a lot of things that we can do to affect those little communities some way, and don't have anything to do with HVAC. I was watching an interview with so many good movies, but all his movies are kind of deep thinkers, and he always says to not assume that the audience is stupid. And with our marketing, and doing these community things, they don't have anything to do with HVAC. But if people see our name associated with things happening in the community, they're bound to be curious and look up what they do. I don't have to spell it out for them and say, Boss Services Animal Adoption Day. We also do HVAC and talk about us. People will look it up. Google's at their disposal. I was filming a bathroom remodel in a customer's home last week, and I was just talking to them. I was like, well, how'd you hear about us? Of course, I'm going to do that if I'm in the household. I have to know, what caused
You're a good marketer.
That was actually, it was our second bathroom too. They already had bought, purchased. And they had said, you know what? We see you guys everywhere in the community. You guys just do so much for the community. Different specials you had and different things like $199 off a bathroom upgrade. But then here was the killer. They went to Google. After getting that mailer, not our website, they went to Google to look at our reviews. And they said, you know what we saw? We weren't looking for the 5-star reviews. We looked for the 1-star reviews, and we read every single one and how you guys responded and you took ownership. And that was huge. There were like so many different things, right, that caused them to pick up that phone and call us. But those reviews, just responding to the negative ones with empathy and making it right for the client, was what led them to purchase 2 bathrooms from us.
Wow, that's so good, because I know it's scary sometimes. And when you see that 1-star come through, and God, I mean, it seems like oftentimes it's someone that you didn't even do work for, or it's, maybe it's not deserved. Sometimes it is, like, we all make mistakes, and sometimes things go wrong. And that's just the nature of being in business and scaling, for sure. But that's interesting that she's like, I'm going to filter to the 1-stars. I want to know the worst thing before I know anything else. That's so good.
Right. And as a business too, we're constantly trying to get more reviews. And sometimes I want to push those 1-stars down. Like, but they're also really important. People aren't dumb. They can filter those out and read those. And
Yeah.
like, that's why as soon as we get a 1-star, we're responding within the hour. If something does happen, like even before that review happens, like
Getting in
let's
front
say
of
we
it.
misordered something. Yes, exactly. And we have a budget for that. We have in our Slack channel, we have kind of a place where our techs can put in if somebody's had a major life event. So let's say a client had a baby, maybe their husband had a surgery, maybe somebody passed away. That client's going to get flowers or a gift basket with the appropriate, handwritten card. And we have a budget specifically for that because we want our clients to know that we care about them as people, that we don't just care about, to having a relationship with them that's memorable and makes them want to keep calling us.
Right. Yeah. And just to make sure that it came across, because I think it cut out for a moment, but you said you literally send flowers and gift baskets to customer. Like if you were saying, if there's a delay or there's something that maybe you put a bump in the road in terms of their experience, like you're literally saying, hey, we're going to have some flowers delivered and a card and the flowers. And yeah, I mean, that's, I think I heard this from somewhere, and I think it's so true that oftentimes you don't really get a chance to really show your true colors in when everything's going right. It's really in
Right.
those, it's in the times when things go wrong, which they always can. You will never be perfect and get to like 100% customer satisfaction and 5.0 on Google, which, I would argue is not even really what you want, but we'll put that aside. It's capitalizing in those moments, like where things go wrong and not being afraid and just stepping up and like, hey, this is what's happening, and communicate and show appreciation for your customers. How long have you been doing that, where you're sending flowers, sending gift baskets? Like, what are some of the good, is there like a customer experience that comes to mind when you did that? Like something was going horrible and then you did that.
Oh yeah. Actually there was a client that we had, and it does seem to be like the bathroom remodels because there's so many elements with measurements. They're custom bathrooms. We have to order them. It has to be just right. And sometimes you do get the wrong item in and you're all scheduled and ready to do the bathroom. And then it's like, okay, this is not the right size or this is not the right material. And you have to call them and say, look, I'm sorry, we have to push this back, a week or a couple weeks. And, sometimes we're trying to drive down the day before. You have to do this happen that we had to delay their bathroom, where I guess like she had to have surgery or something, she found out, and just was having a really super tough time. So I remember running to our local Kohl's and buying her some just stuff like you would want to recover from surgery with. And
that's so good.
We had our sales guy who, hot cocoa and different goodies to her, and like odd situation where she could have been up. Yeah. So that feels good to do that. It just, turning, having something bad happen, then turning that around is kind of the best thing. The best part of my job is seeing people happy and just seeing us have that effect on people.
I imagine that's a customer for life, and it's not all like I try to walk this line of, I believe that being good and doing the right thing is good for business. I think it's important to do it because it's the right thing. But there is this separate effect of like, the average homeowner, they're going to have 2 new systems over the course of their lifetime and a bathroom renovation possibly. And you're like, oh my gosh, how much could you have spent on, slippers and a robe and now I would imagine you've got now a customer for life, and one that is probably one of your better word of mouth refers. Now, oh my gosh, you won't believe what Jen sent me. Like I was all upset because in a stressful time in her life and lots of things going on. And I know me, like sometimes I'll, some company will drop the ball on something small, but there's all these other things going on. And it just is like, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And so for you to come back and make it right, it's like, oh, okay. Wow. Maybe these guys aren't so bad.
Yeah. So like, and this is the most intimate business. If you think about it, like going into somebody's home, it does not get more intimate than that. Like, so if someone knocks on my door nowadays, like my first instinct is to hide behind my couch. Like, I'm like, who's at my house?
Oh, me too.
Would be someone unexpected, like who would be coming to my house? So, but I mean, it just doesn't happen as often, I guess, as in like the 50s where they had door-to-door salesmen, all these vacuum
Yeah.
salespeople coming to your home. And so I think we take that very seriously. I was just saying, like, one of our salespeople was telling me that one of our clients was texting him and, inviting him on out to his boat this summer. And we just did I think we just did an AC installation for him.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that you guys have a unique perspective. Being 8 years into the business, I compare that to, other HVAC shops that I talk to that have been in business for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And there's benefits to that. Something that you're making me think of now is just how consumers' behavior has changed. Like you mentioned that idea of, when someone knocks on your door, you're like, I'm going to hide behind, something's wrong. Like, is it the police? Am I about to get robbed? And that's not the way it was. So like, I think it's almost to your benefit in a way too, to like, you've only been like 8 years in business. You're looking pretty well at like, what is today's homeowner customer? Like, what are their behaviors? And so I think that's a really important thing to really think about is who are our customers and how do they behave? And that's another thing I know that you go really deep on is like really understanding who it is that, like, who's your best customer, your less than ideal customer. Well, you can identify that when you know who your like truly who your target customer is. So like, how do you mind going into that a little bit? Like, how do you think about your target customer? Yeah, I'd be really curious.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love this part. I love data. Whenever, like even when I was in that client's house asking them questions, I was like writing stuff down after. But we actually have a company, and I'll tell you the company we use, Melissa Data, and they take our whole customer list from the time we began our business until now, and we do this every 2 years. We kind of refresh to see who our customer is, and they break it down even by like age, zip code, who our ideal customer is. It's so cool because I use it on every single thing I do with our marketing. It tells me their interests too. So like our clients are really into antiques and crafts, and we had a Valentine's Day craft show on, Valentine's Day this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just to, since that was like one of the high interests that they had. We have people who are our clients are really patriotic, and we're a veteran owned company. So we do a 9/11 hero climb on September 11th every year, where we get all the firefighters together, police officers, and the community to, climb the same number of steps in the World Trade Center at 8:46 a.m. to kind of commemorate that day. It means a lot to our owner who was in the Marines for 20 years, and it means a lot to the community. So like I use that list and people's interests to kind of gauge like what I'm sponsoring in the community too. Do they have kids? Yes, our customers usually have 2 kids. Their grandparents. I have their kind of age ranges between, the sweet spot is between 50 to 65 plus, but we also have the 40 to 50 in that kind of second place for who's our ideal customer. So I'm always looking at that data. I'd highly recommend having your list analyzed because you can use that with your, Facebook ad targeting. You can use that with like our direct mail. Like I know our top 4 zip codes of where our clients come from. And it's like 80% of our clients come from 4 zip codes. So I'm blanketing those areas with mailers. Yeah, based on the income level too, it gives me. So like I know I tell our direct mail place, which our direct mail business we use is amazing. Like their targeting is so cool. Target certain zip codes based on that avatar that I've given them. And I mean, that's produced huge dividends for us. So I think ideal customer and kind of mapping out even maybe your top avatar, maybe your number 2 and 3, so you can have specific messaging to each of those. That's invaluable.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, and I think some people can get intimidated thinking about, that like data on my customer, like where do I even begin there? And there's definitely, you guys are going to a really deep level, which I think everyone should go to, but I think what data does is it helps break assumptions that we have. Like it's easy. I think we become biased too by like the customers that we think most about. Sometimes it's like customers have the most problems that are more high touch, and you're like, those are my best customers. Well, that's usually not the case. Actually, you having this data and being able to say, hey, our 80% of our business comes from these 4 zip codes and they have these interests. And I mean, oh my gosh, what a powerful tool to then really deploy your marketing efforts and dollars to those particular areas, those particular people, using these particular
Right.
channels. Like that's super powerful. So you have your customer list, and then you're using a tool, or you're using a vendor to get you even more data than that. But you all using Service Titan, is that right?
Yeah, we use Service Titan. So I use that full customer list, like every single customer we've done business with, and the past 8 years, and I send that to the company that analyzes it, and the report is not scary. I just, it sounds like it's going to be like a lot of data to sift through, and it is. Like they'll send you. I requested like all 30 pages. I was like,
Yeah.
give me
Give me
everything.
everything.
Um,
I
like
love
hand
it.
over.
You're the
But they'll
best.
also sit with you. Yeah, right. Like they'll sit with you on the phone and they will kind of pinpoint and talk to you and tell you, here's your top 4 areas, here's this. Like they'll help you understand it better. But yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
referring to that report.
Because I know that you all are super effective with client marketing and using that list to not only get more value out of each customer, but then grow your list as well. So I think step one is really understanding before you can do anything with them. You got to like really understand them being your ideal customers. So tactically, what are some of those next steps? So, okay, now you've got this data and you really understand where your revenue's coming from and what these people are like. You mentioned ads and ad targeting, but like what are some specifics that you're doing?
Yeah, I think analyzing, like based on this information, I have all this at my disposal. So how my whole thing is, how can I eliminate ad waste? And you can do that with digital. Like, I mean, we're not in, the stone age where we don't have the capability. I was just telling someone the other day, I was like, my job's kind of creepy because, I'm utilizing it. I mean, everybody has this advantage though. It's not just me. Like I'm
Right.
utilizing all their, from their cookies. Like Google knows what you like, Facebook knows what you like and don't like. That's just kind of, I guess, the detriments of being online.
It is what it is. Yeah.
There's nothing
It's
you can do about
reality.
it. Yeah. So I mean, like we have, campaigns that are going to go out to this kind of ideal customer based on these interest income levels, even the age of the home. I mean, that's huge with we'll do OTT or CTV advertising, which is like video streaming. So I can target video ads if you use like Roku device, which a ton of people do nowadays. You would be surprised. And I convert TV type because it's unavoidable, where, I guess you could leave the room or scroll on your cell phone, but you're still hearing it. It's still
For the
there
most
and it's
part,
still
yeah.
present. But you can deliver it to people who have a home that's 15 years or older, which we know in the HVAC industry, that's a very
Yeah.
desirable group because they have an older set of equipment. You can target income level, you can target by zip code. So it's only delivered to specific areas. So that is a really cool piece, a way that you could use that data. And then using, like we talked about, Facebook and meta advertising, we're huge on with the Facebook advertising because like we can have, sometimes we have so many different services and our
Yeah.
avatar is actually different for different services. So it gets
Oh,
even
that's
that.
so good.
Yeah. So I can adapt that with Facebook campaigns that we do, like our bathroom audience is actually a little bit lower income than our HVAC audience. So I can use that to target our bathroom audience differently. It seems like we do a lot more financing with bathrooms than we do with HVAC systems. So financing campaigns with that. And then, I'm targeting both what I call a cold audience on Facebook, which is like those interests that we got from our avatar, the age. And then I'm also within the same campaign and sometimes different campaigns entirely targeting our client base, or people who watched a video on Facebook, people who have been to our website. So kind of all these things combined with, digitally, you can use that data to really hone in on that avatar specifically. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can use it. As far as even, like I said, the direct mail, we use that to figure out where we're going to be targeting like our our direct mail company, Snail Mail Direct. I was trying to think of the name earlier, but they're great. They will kind of give us a whole yearly plan of where we're going to be targeting with the strategy based on each type of message twice, or not twice, but more than twice. So it's like each time we're giving them something different. So it's really integrated and crazy. I have so many Excel spreadsheets on initiatives for each service each month. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I really wanted to have you on too, because you all are at a high level, multi million, like you're fully dedicated to getting down to this level. And so I think that, our listeners that are at that level can be challenged to take things a step further. And maybe they're thinking about their target persona, but not subdividing it out by different, services and different areas. And like, it's endless. Like you can, in theory, your list of personas is as big as your customer list. Well, obviously we're not going to do that, but
Right.
still taking it to the next level. And then for
And
those,
I would say too, like if you can't do all of this, and this right now is like blowing your mind and feels daunting, sometimes they'll be like nothing to do with my goals. I would have an agent talks with the clients about what are your goals, because I see too often, I've seen it in group. Like I was on the Service Titan group just last, you have $10,000 a month for marketing. How would you spend it? And I'm like, oh, that's every marketing agency's nightmare, that question, because there's no context. We don't know anything about his business, and there's no cookie cutter answer on how to spend $10,000 without knowing what your goals are, where you are in your business. Are you just starting out? Have you been around a while? It was just
right.
crazy to me that was the question.
Yeah. It's like that old adage of, like a question properly, a question properly framed is a problem half solved, or something to that effect, where it's like
Yeah.
like it's worth taking the time to really break down what it is you're trying to do, where it is that you're trying to go, and then start to ask more questions about, where we have this marketing budget, and think about it in more subdivision, instead of, like you said, hey, I've got 10 grand I'm going to spend a month. That's, X% of top line revenue. I know I need to spend
Right.
it. Where do I put it?
Right. And
So,
I know you marketing people, if you're the marketing manager of an HVAC company, you're getting hit like 5, 7, 10 times a day by different like DMs, emails, calls of like, I could get you 10 leads in a month or for whatever. Nobody can promise you that. I'm going to tell you right away, if somebody tells you that they're going to get you guarantee a certain amount of leads every month for you, that is a scam. Run. Don't do it. But if you have somebody like Alex, who when he reached out to us, he pinpointed some things that he would improve with our website. He did not call our baby ugly. He was super kind about it. But that right away, I was like, he has our best interest. He's looking at our website. There's things that he's saying that I know need to be done with it. And, he has our best interest. And he was giving me this information, willing to sit down and talk and give me this information free of charge, and just say, hey, there was no sales pitch. It was just, let's take a look at the website together and go over it. And those are the types of agencies that you want to work with. So good job.
That's super kind of you. Like, thanks, Jen. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I try to treat others as I want my partners to treat me. I think of my vendors, call them what you want. I think of them as partners. I know we've had this conversation, but I have someone that helps me with accounting, and I have there are things that I can't do that I look to others
Right.
for. And I try to think, how do I want them to treat me? How do I want my financial advisor to treat me? Do I want him to come, to me and, hey, I can guarantee you 15% growth next year. Like that's so obvious. We would go, what?
Right.
No, but sometimes marketing in this space is misunderstood, or I know for many, like, feel very scary. And, so it's easy to be susceptible to those things. And I always share, like, Google,
Right.
for example. They actively dissuade people from working with an agency that does guarantee performance, but for exactly the reason that you described. Like, you just can't do it. It's like, well, we'll guarantee it's going to be sunny on your vacation if you book with us. It's like, what?
Right.
We could make some predictions, but, of course, So anyways, yeah, thanks so much.
Mhm.
That was really kind.
Oh no, you're welcome. I mean, you guys always, I think you put the human in digital, like the human empathy in that. So like you want somebody who really cares. Like, and we've had talks where I'm like, I don't know if this is working. And you're like, well, let's adapt this. Let's try this. And that has your best interest and is willing to say, well, maybe that's not working, and not like talking down to you and being, like in your face about it. I think that those are the type of people that you want to work with.
Well said. Well, yeah, like I said, I appreciate that. That's awesome. It's this crazy novel concept that people want to do business with people and want to trust
Right.
those that they're giving their hard-earned dollars to. And like it ties back into exactly what you were saying with your customers. Like you all are a big, successful, growing home services company that still sends a pair of slippers and a robe to a customer when something goes
Yeah.
wrong, because again, this novel concept, like people want to do business with people and want to feel like, oh man, okay, they're not just trying to sell me uh, a change out, or they're just not just trying to
Right.
sell me something. They're actually like coming alongside me and being consultative and saying like, what do you want, where do you want to go, and as you talk about a bathroom upgrade or a new system or whatever it is, like it's I am a big believer in that for sure.
Right. I think that is huge. Yeah, that having that level of empathy with everything that you do. And I do want to bring this up because I know we want to talk about this today when we were talking, but like social media, I think is such an untapped way to connect with your customers. And too often I see people using social media wrong, where they're talking down to their customers or they're just self-promoting. Like, we have this going on, we have this going on, this is going on here. Like, it's all me, 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 and it's nothing about them. It's not being social, which social media is about being social and showing that we're human, and that like, and too many people I don't think do video on social media because they're like, well, I don't have a fancy film equipment, or I'm not good on camera or whatever. But
Yes.
the stuff that is catching people's attention in the feeds, and this kills me a little bit to say it because I spend so much time sometimes
Oh.
editing a nice video, but are the ones where I just pick up my phone and I'm like, hey, it's Jen here. I'm just, at this cafe having coffee doing this, and I just want to promote them. They're awesome. Giving them a shout out, whatever, just something very simple that took no time at all. Those seem to be like the scroll stoppers where it's not super fancy. Or just like how to's if I go out in the field, or I've been having our techs, I have a spiff program going on right now. This is the first time I've done this, but where they're going to get $20 if they can just give me a video. I'll give them initiatives of like, I want a video of a super dirty filter and you like
Mm.
scraping all the gunk off of it. And that is all I want. I'm going to use that. I have an idea for a TikTok. I want to see that. And like, they're all scrambling to get me that video now.
That's awesome.
So
And
yeah,
that's
or like, I
so
need a
worth
video,
20 bucks. Oh my gosh.
right? Or I need a
Yeah.
video of somebody with a cracked heat exchanger. I want to show people what it looks like. Just giving them, because they don't know what to do unless you give them direction. And a lot of the times, they're good at HVAC. They're not good at what type of content resonates on social media.
Right.
So if I kind of give them these kind of tasks and they're being rewarded for it, like, because I can go out and field with them and I do, but I don't have time to go out every single day and capture these things. So I think just having your techs, find content, and because the stuff that resonates with people on social media is like how to's, what to look for, how to prevent a problem, like,
Mhm.
how to clean your AC. Like right now I'm on the hunt too. I told them I need a video with them cleaning the AC, and kind of just, they don't have to talk. I'll put the text in front of the video. It's fine. But
That's
I
so
just I
smart.
just want that to show people, this is what you should be doing to get your AC ready for summer. And by doing that, we're building trust with them that we know what we're doing. So we're here if you need us, but we're not saying call 269-468-6662 and
Right.
we're going to give you this AC tune up.
Yes.
No, we're just presenting ourselves as the expert, and then it's valuable to them, making it valuable to them in an educational way, or doing something in an entertaining way. People will follow your feed. We have more people visit our Facebook page every month than our website because they know it's
Oh
up
my
to date.
gosh. Wow. Yeah. That's
It's, yeah.
incredible.
And it wasn't like that. It wasn't always like that, but it is easier to update the Facebook page and do a new post. Like we try to post 5 times a week, different styles of posts. We'll do, maybe a couple, 2 entertaining, maybe 1 educational, and then we'll do 1 that is self-promotional. We'll throw in 1 a week only about like a sales special or something, and then maybe 1 that's in the community. So just having that mix that people can expect to our page and be entertained is great, because they're going to, like we were talking about earlier, like our audience is not dumb. Even if we're not talking about HVAC on our page and we're honoring veterans or doing something else, they're going to go and be like, oh, Boss Services, they're doing a hometown hero highlight with the local veteran. What do they do? They can always look.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's like, for whatever reason, the default instinct for most, and I think this just comes around learning more about marketing, but the default instinct is to do that. Hey, we're offering this, 3-ton system and you offer it's like, again, and I keep going back to this, but we're not the stars of the movie. Like, you got to think about when you're putting this on Facebook. We'll use Facebook. You're talking about Facebook. So if you're going to promote your HVAC business, home service business on Facebook, think about what that Facebook user that's going to see your content, what are they doing? What are the odds that they're actively on Facebook and going, boy, I hope that I see a HVAC company and I want to know their price. No, that's never going to happen.
No.
That's maybe more of a Google play, but that speaks to knowing your channels. And so I like what you said about, some of that selfie video style, lower production, because again, think about that Facebook user, your customer that's in your service area, that's laying in bed with the TV on, and they're scrolling through Facebook. Like, they're looking at pictures of friends and families and dogs and cats and vacations that their friends are on. And that's the mindset that they're in. So I've even had this slice of humble pie served to me. All I do is marketing, and I've created, we run a lot of Facebook ads to grow our business, and done the video production company. And I think that there's a place for that. And I'm definitely not suggesting not, but I am not kidding that my far and away the best performing ad that I've ever run for my own business was literally a picture of my wife and I, a selfie on the beach. And that was the picture. It had nothing to do with
no text.
I mean, no text, no, like, exactly. It was just completely personal.
The scroll. Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing that works really well right now is just, when you can put a status and it's like a question out there, and you use kind of like the bolder lettering. It's not even a design. You don't have to design this. You just kind of type out the question to your audience. Doesn't have to be HVAC related. Like when we had our first big snow blizzard, I was like, okay, how many inches of snow are we going to get a day?
Yes.
And we had like 30, 40 comments commenting about that. And people are like, well, why would you do that? It has nothing to do. And it's like, well, engagement, the algorithm favors engagement. So if we can get engagement, then the next post that I make that is about HVAC or bathrooms or whatever, people are going to see it more. And do not get discouraged. I want to tell people this. If you have a video or image or something that got 100 views, that's going to happen. That's going to happen a lot. But you don't know how many people are just going to your page and using it as a website. Millennials, especially, which guess what? We're homeowners now, and we're in that prime audience that you want to hit, that 35 plus. And we go to Facebook instead of websites or Instagram or these places to look into you and research you. So if you have nothing going on those pages, then your competition does, you're just like, well, I guess, I'm going to go with them. So I think just using it as a tool, and it helps your SEO too. It does. It helps SEO a lot. You don't even have to have like a huge hashtag strategy anymore. Now they're taking into account what words you're using. So if I use AC repair, once in a status, then they're like, okay, this company does AC repair, and that helps your Google as well. So if you're not seeing the results you want on Facebook, you're getting 1 or 2 likes. We're getting 1 or 2 likes on some posts too. That does not matter. The bigger picture is what you should be looking at.
So glad you said that, because I have heard time and time again, oh, Alex, we tried Facebook. Yeah, we made 6 posts and we only got 2 likes on each one. It's like you haven't even crossed the start line. Like this is this is a long game. And, you know,
Just like SEO. I mean, it is
right.
SEO. That is SEO. That is part of your SEO plan. It is. You're so right. Like, I wish
Yeah.
more people saw that, because like it is a consistency thing. If you post, it doesn't even have to be every day. If you post 3 times a week, like that's not much, but they're like, good quality. You have a strategy with it where you're
Mhm.
doing that combination of, I'm going to do something entertaining. I'm
Mhm.
going to do educational. I'm going to do a community post. Let's say you just do those 3 a week, then you have something you're building on that people can come to your page and kind of see what you're about. And that is super important, because that's your storefront these days. It's not your
Right.
building. Nobody cares about that. So I think
So
that would
true.
be a really good investment of your time. And it doesn't even cost anything. Like you saw that picture on the beach,
Yeah.
like it could be you out in the community. Like it really is not as hard as people think. And if you try to make it too fancy or too many graphics or too many letters, people are just gonna be like, oh, that's an ad. I don't care. I don't
It can
care. I
work
don't
in
want to
reverse.
see an ad.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like
yeah.
the same way that we're so
Yep.
programmed. I'll give an example that I think is probably more obvious to most people. Like, I don't like my phone. I get like probably 5 spam calls a day from random people. And my last name is Van
Yeah.
Leeuwen. So I kind of have a ritual. Like no one can pronounce my last name. So I'll get the call and they'll say,
Yeah.
is Mr. Van, and when there's a pause, I'm like, oh, it's spam. And then I just hang up. Right. I can filter that out so quickly.
Right.
Well, the same thing happens online. Like uh, people are now so conditioned to see what ads look like that it almost
Yes.
that added effort in like really making a big production out of your content. Like people will just by default skip over it, even if it is,
Right.
educational, valuable. So um, I think another something that really changed my perspective on posting, and this is something, I'm trying to eat my own dog food here and like be more
Yeah.
consistent myself about doing this, right? And so I have
That's the
been.
hardest though, I think, when you're like, I know so many agency owners and it's like you're so busy doing everybody else's stuff, you get burnt out. It's like the
Right.
hairstylist who doesn't ever get her hair done. She's just like, I'm
Right.
done with this. I'm sick of hair, so it is
Right.
hard.
Well, one thing that really changed my perspective on it, because I think we get caught up in the fact that, oh, like, I only have this many followers, or I only get this many likes, or, the numbers are approximate, but basically, when you think about social media, about 1% of all people on social media are creators. So people that actually like you and me, Jen, like people that post
Yeah.
and are actually putting out content, it's about 1%. And then there's about 5% of people that are contributors. So people that'll actually like the content, they'll give you a comment, maybe. They're engaging with
Yes.
with the content. That remaining, what, 94% are lurkers. They're never gonna
Yes.
like anything, they're never gonna comment,
Yeah.
but they're there. And it's
Well,
crazy. You'll see like I'll get on the phone with an HVAC owner and they're like, oh yeah, you were saying that thing about text message marketing and you were this SEO thing. And I'm
yeah.
like, I've never heard of you. You could have thrown me a like, maybe, but that's just not the way
I think
people
that
work.
all the time. So I had this conversation with my husband the other day. My husband is a lurker. He said something about
Yeah.
a video I made, and I was like, I don't even think you don't like
Yeah.
any of
What
that
the
stuff.
heck?
And I was reading actually some research too. Men are less likely to like stuff on Facebook, TikTok, whatever. They're more
Mm.
passive, like they ingest the information, but they're not like women are more people pleasers for the most part. This is a very I mean, an overgeneralization, but
Sure,
just
but
from a study I
yeah,
read, I don't know how
I get
true
where
it
you're
is.
going.
But they want to please people and they want to like their stuff and show that they care. And like guys are like, I'm just here and I want entertain me.
Yeah. I
So
no, it's my wife, she'll send me like goofy things on Instagram. Like all I do on
yeah,
Instagram is look at the stuff that my wife sends me, and she'll be like,
yeah.
did you see that thing I sent you about the dog? Oh yeah, that was hilarious. Like, well, you didn't like it
Why'd you
though.
comment?
Yeah, you didn't like it. Like, I guess that's true. So
Constantly.
yeah, that's such a good point. But I raised that point just to say, to a large extent, I think you have to
Mhm.
just disregard what you're measuring in terms of success on your social media. Like, don't get bent around the axle on likes and comments and engagement, because people are seeing it, and it's the consistency. I think that's most
Right.
important. Would you agree? I mean, what are your
Right.
thoughts on
And
that?
yeah, I think so too. Just like what we talked about. One more thing though is if your ego is getting hurt by this lack of likes or people seeing it, which is bound to happen. I've spent an hour and a half editing a video and then it gets 2 likes and 100
Yeah.
views. And I'm like, this is a great video. People should see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And local groups, this is such a great strategy.
Mm, yes.
Facebook wants people to stay in Facebook and engage and talk and be social with each other. So they favor local groups above anything else. So
Mhm.
if you want to share your posts to local groups and get in there and and put it out to these different groups in your area. There's neighborhood groups. You can just search your city, search your county, a bunch of stuff will come up. Join all those groups, share to the groups, and you're going to get more engagement that way. Like
Yeah.
there's not a day that goes by that I don't share our stuff to a local group. And then sometimes it does not catch fire at all, I'll be honest. And sometimes it really catches on faster than it did in our own feed. So like I would say that is a definite thing that you should be doing as well.
To be clear for our listeners, you're because I love this group strategy. I totally agree with you. Like, it's some people know about it and are in these groups, and other people are like, group, like, they have no idea that
Yeah.
that's even a feature, and it's a
Yeah.
massive feature. So to be clear, you are posting content to the Boss Services Facebook page, and then
Right.
you're posting it from your Boss Services page into the group.
Yes. And I have experimented with two different ways to do this. So yes, you as your company can join these local groups and then
Mhm.
share the posts that you make from your group into the groups. Or you can use your personal profile to also share those things. Or sometimes I will just hop into a group as my personal profile and say, hey, this is Jen with Boss Services. I'm looking to host this big event and I'm looking for vendors or where's a really good spot to have a meeting? And I just have boss's name in there, like just stuff like that, because I do think that those groups do favor people more than
Yeah.
businesses. So if you are okay with using your own personal profile to get out there too, I mean, that's kind of gold.
Mhm.
But even just sharing as your business, I mean, like I talked about, we have a hometown hero program where we honor a different veteran every month and tell his story on our website. And I was getting a page when I posted it on Sunday. I had like 2 likes and it had been a couple hours. So I was like, I'm going to share to like 5 different groups. And like by the end of the day, there was like 50 likes on the group post. There was like thousands of people seeing it. So it just needed a little push to get out there. So I
Yeah.
don't think there's any harm in even just using kind of like the same sentiment or, the same post. People aren't seeing it in every single group. They're not members.
Mhm.
So don't feel weird about being like, oh, I'm spamming all these groups. No, for the
Yeah.
most part, people aren't seeing you post everywhere. They just aren't. They don't care. You're not the star of your show, right, Alex?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying earlier about we get
Can we
all right.
title the podcast that? Can you
Yeah.
title it? You're not the star of your show.
Right. Yeah. Come in with that big negative energy. That's what sells.
That's the name of
It's,
the game.
isn't it funny? Like, I didn't expect that, but so much of what we've talked about does tie back to
Right.
that.
It's
And
about
it's
other
like,
people. Yeah.
yeah, it's not about you, it's about other people, and
Right.
really having that empathy to know, meet them where they're at. Not only as we would traditionally think, like, oh, God, I love that example of the lady that just had surgery and all, like meeting someone
Yeah.
where they're at there, but meeting them where they're at in terms of marketing too, like the mother of two that's laying in bed on her Facebook, with the TV on before going to sleep, like that. Create your content around that, and that
Right.
content doesn't look like that high produced, sell.
Right.
It's absolutely fine to promote yourself. At the end of the day, we're not in this for, we're not nonprofits. We're in it to make money,
Yes.
and that's, that's
Yeah.
good, and that's all good. But I really like what you said, about just the idea that our customers are not dumb, right? So you get
No.
in front of them, they know, like, it all comes together. You just have to be consistent and trust your customers to be smart, because they are much smarter
Right.
than us, I would say. Like,
Yes.
as a marketer, I try to remember, like, my the people that I'm marketing to, they're a lot smarter than me, because many times I'll try something that I think will work really well. And we're going to get all these HVAC companies to come talk to us. And then it's crickets. So I'm like, well, they were a lot
Right.
smarter than me in that sense. So a little
Yeah,
humility goes a long way.
it does. Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge part of being a marketing manager, right? Being like, well,
Yeah.
that bombed, that didn't work. Why didn't it work? And then figuring out
Right.
what works and why that works. And, it isn't a bit of an experiment marketing it.
Oh
But like
yeah.
you have the data to back things up. Like you always have the data to look to see if you're running a Facebook ad or whatever it may be, like who came to that landing page or a direct mail piece with a QR code on it. Like we have specific pages for our direct mail pieces that it only goes to that page. We know if someone fills out the form on that page, they got the direct mailer, right? So
Yeah.
like, why did we get more submissions on that direct mail piece last month than this month? Let's look at the creative and see how we can utilize last month and make that better for next month.
Right.
So it's constantly just using all this data to your advantage.
Well, and I think that's where people can sometimes view marketing spend kind of like the Wild West. Like I mean, you and I, we're both marketers. We kind of talk this language, but some might
Mhm.
hear this and go, "Oh, so I'm just supposed to what? Take my money and roll the like? Am I at the casino?" And it's like, no. The thing is with marketing, you don't have to be right every time, because often when you are
Right.
right, you're right in
Right.
a big way, and then you can double and triple down, like you mentioned, like where you're seeing results. Like you have found in
Right.
your service area what works well, and it takes some trial and error to find that, but then, oh my gosh, you look at your total ROI, and you're
Right.
like, man, we're rocking and rolling. So
Exactly. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And some things can produce a lot of leads, but not necessarily revenue. So that's like
Right.
something to consider too. You can't just look at how many leads are, oh, this made the phone ring off the hook, but did you make money off of it? Like,
Right.
like you said, we're not a nonprofit. Like
Right.
you really have to look at what it's producing. And even if it's producing a lot of leads and not a lot of revenue, then that's definitely to me like an audience problem, a targeting problem,
Yeah.
or a creative message issue. So
Right.
yeah.
For sure. And also like treating each channel with its due respect and difference. Like we were talking about the text message marketing, and you can really easily book a lot of $99 tune-ups, but I always advise before doing that, like, make sure that sales cycle doesn't end with the tune-up. Have process in place to turn that into a maintenance agreement, into indoor air quality, into
Right.
all these other things, and to actually to get that end result what you want, which is to be above your current average ticket.
Right.
So
And
um
one last thing, this was so huge. It was such a big revelation to me, and it's a simple one. I was at our Valentine's Day market, and a client came up to us who uses our services. He got a furnace tune-up done in the fall, and he asked me, he was like, "Hey, do you guys do AC tune-ups too?" And I was like, bells ringing. I'm like, sometimes we're so ingrained in our
yes.
business that we're like, of course, everybody knows that we do all things HVAC, but they may not. Like, we
Right.
have to, like, our customers are smart, and I don't want to get away from that, but we also can't assume that they know things that they may not know.
Right.
So don't be afraid to put that out there.
That is such good advice. Yeah, we're doing this all day, right? Like we're
Yes.
so deep into what it is that we do
Or
that
do
it's
some people even know what HVAC means,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's another thing. Like, do they know what HVAC is? Maybe not. So we have to be like specific with using words like heating or your heating system or
Yes.
cooling system. Like words you use are so important in your marketing.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in like talking about, oh, it's X sear and this many tons. Like it's like it's so tempting sometimes to
Yeah.
it's just one example, but to talk about your products and services in that kind of way without thinking
Right.
about that, who really is your customer. And like you said, they're more that, maybe they only think of HVAC as cooling, and that's it. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to find someone to come tune up my furnace. And you're like,
Right.
what? But that's marketing to reality, right? We're just get so deep in what we do. It's easy to not, it kind of skews what we think the average person knows, you know?
Oh yeah, I'll text my friends all the time. Be like, "Do you know what this is?" And if they say no, then I'm like, "That is definitely not going to be in an ad because they're not, they're not as ingrained." We were calling things. What's an example? Dispatch fees. We were saying, okay, the dispatch fee is $69. People don't know what dispatch means. They're not in this world. So we had to change that terminology to trip fee, just to come out there to take the trip. This is how much it costs, basically. And people seem to understand that more than dispatch. So yeah, language is important.
That is another great tip of just like text people that are totally out of your industry, your friends, and like, do you know what this is? That's a really quick gut check and like, oh, okay. If they don't get it, just assume that no one else is going to.
Right.
That
so actually good. The dispatch fee came actually from listening to phone calls. I'll pick phone calls out from different campaign mediums because in Service Titan in the marketing tab, you can look at your mediums that you're advertising in. And I'll just listen to every month. I churn out a whole day of doing reports and listening to calls and doing that. And I kept hearing that over and over again, that people are like not understanding what the dispatch fee was. And I was like, well, we need to change this. So I think, just listening to your customer calls is huge too.
That's so good. Yeah. We'll have to title the podcast. We're not the star. I think you just get it. So, because that's what it is.
Right.
So Jen, I could talk and talk and talk, but I want to be respectful of your time. So, one thing I told
you we could talk all day.
I know I'll have to have you come back on if you would be so gracious, and we can pick right back up.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you, so I always ask my guests this at the end, kind of, to follow our own instructions and think about our listener, right? So, like, what are they trying to get out of this? So I always ask, what is it that you like? What advice would you give to that HVAC company that is trying to take their business to the next level? So they're, like I said, maybe they're trying to crack 5 million. We'll go with that. And what would you recommend that they focus on, do research? What advice would you have for them?
I would say they're trying to crack that 5 million. I think it's all about caring for the customer. Whatever you can do to show your customers that you care about them. After we do a major install for every HVAC system install, bathroom, we have bags made up with like a bag of Boss coffee, 2 really big, nice coffee mugs. I'm trying to think what else is in there. Candles, like just really, they all get a bag like that. Stuff that you can leave behind that makes them feel appreciated. They're going to tell everybody about that. I would read the book, Giftology, because I think that is a huge way that you can make an impression on people to spread word of mouth without spending a ton of money. And plus they just spent a ton of money with you and you can't like give them $100 gift pack. Like, come on. Like, I think that's worth it. You're a client and you're not doing everything you can to make them over how good your marketing is. So that's number one. I would say number 2 is just really getting out into the community and embracing causes that matter to your clients. And you're not going to see a direct line. You're going to hear about it. Our people, whenever they go to the house, people are like, they mention at least one thing we've done in the community. And that is a huge reason that gets them to call us once they see our Facebook ads or get our direct mail piece. Because otherwise, how are we different? If we're not serving the communities that we serve, then, what's the point?
So good. People have to know how much you care before they care how much you know.
Exactly. Right. Because you're not the star of the show.
Oh, man. Perfect.
Full circle to end.
Oh, that's so perfect. Jen, thanks so much for coming on. This was super fun.
It was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HVAC Heroes podcast. If you would like to book more jobs and generate higher revenue for the dollars you're putting into marketing, please visit hvacmarketers.com and check out the resources tab, where we offer free trainings on everything from how to run profitable Google ads to how to get in the map pack in your service area, text message marketing, and much, much more. Also, feel free to shoot us a chat with your specific questions. We're here to help you grow your HVAC business. Thanks for listening.